All right, let's jump right into this explainer for New Teen Freedom 4. Today, we're meticulously unpacking the psychological warnings presented in Chapter 4, which is known as the ego simulator. We're looking at a truly fascinating piece of allegorical fiction that explores the hidden, often ignored costs of absolute, unchecked digital escapism. The text paints this vivid picture of a system that flatters the human ego to the point of literal paralysis. So get comfortable and let's explore the architecture of this digital trap together.
Right out of the gate, the antagonist, Sir Pent, sets the stage for the chapter's core warning, the absolute illusion of digital freedom. He points out that the subjects completely believe they're experiencing ultimate freedom in their curated private worlds, but they're totally unaware that this isolation is actually the cage itself. He isn't using physical force to trap anyone. No, he's using comfort. It's a really powerful paradox to start us off.
Section 1. The Infinite Dive Ego Center. The Architecture of Escape.
So let's examine how a supposedly simple, everyday space evolves into a trap. The text describes an environment engineered to completely sever ties with the present moment through heavy sensory manipulation. Now, you might picture a beautifully vibrant, sunlit, serene room, right? But the source text actually describes the space as heavily intoxicating, pulsing with low bass and total sensory overrides. And that contrast is exactly the point. The characters experience the space as the ultimate customized paradise, but really, it's a carefully designed architecture of escape, meant to just snap off their awareness of reality and their real-world relationships.
Section 2. The Spectator Paradox. Illusion versus reality.
Okay, so this brings us to a major psychological trap centered around a character named Diesel. The source text calls this the spectator paradox. Basically, the system flatters the ego into feeling totally godlike while actually stripping away all physical agency. Inside his VR headset, Diesel is a god. He sprints, he conquers, he acts out literally every impulse without a single consequence. But in reality, he's completely passive. He is a mere spectator to his own physical existence, trading real-world movement for fake digital dominance.
The juxtaposition here is just stark. You have a hyper-stimulated mental illusion of invincibility, totally masking the physical reality of a completely paralyzed body. On one hand, you have endless energy and consequence-free action, but on the other, you have a motionless body that hasn't taken a real step in hours. The text emphasizes that while his body sits perfectly still, his nervous system is just being hammered by artificial emotional explosions.
Evelyn, one of the characters observing all this, refers to this setup as a dopamine casino. By constantly feeding the brain fake triumphs, kind of like an algorithmic social feed today, the system creates what the text calls hooks in the mind. Because Diesel is so distracted by his digital superiority, he's completely unaware that he is being siphoned of his real-world energy and potential. Relentless digital pleasure actually leaves his mind wide open to darker influences.
Section 3. The Fantasy Shift Mirage, the Chemical Disconnect.
Next up, the narrative introduces a second trap through another character named Rev. This is the Fantasy Shift Mirage, and it represents the ultimate rejection of real-world consequences and personal growth. Rev's coping mechanism isn't just escaping the present, he's convinced himself that even the future, even death itself, has absolutely no real stakes. He uses unregulated botanical elixirs to numb himself, fully believing he can just curate his reality forever.
This quote completely captures that mindset. It's a total surrender of willpower. Rev literally states he doesn't need discipline or cosmic laws. He's bought into this lie that existence requires no earning, no sacrifice, and zero character building. Another character, Abby, echoes this by calling reality just a mood board shaped by aesthetics. They honestly believe they can just customize their way out of accountability.
Section 4. The Spiritual Weight, the Hidden Cost of Numbness. Now, Evan and Evelyn introduce the text's counter-argument, acting as the voice of objective reality. They break down the tragic miscalculation these young adults are making regarding their spiritual debts. On one side, there's the fiction they've been sold, universal amnesty and endless unearned comfort. But the reality? The text posits there's an invisible ledger or energy belt around everyone. Every single time you numb out, avoid a hard truth, or escape into a digital fantasy to dodge real growth, that choice literally turns into heavy spiritual weight. Evelyn spells it out perfectly here. Avoiding accountability doesn't grant freedom, it only builds an unbearable, invisible gravity. The unhealed parts of yourself, they don't just magically disappear because you ignore them or put on a VR headset. They accumulate. The text strongly argues that the cosmic laws of cause and effect are totally indifferent to what these characters actually want to believe. Section 5. The architecture of surrender, the antagonist's true motive.
So we've finally reached the climax of the chapter, where Sir Pent reveals the true purpose behind the ego simulator. It's this concept of aesthetic dimension curation. And it brilliantly illustrates how absolute comfort is weaponized as a tool for control. Sir Pent actually mocks the idea of character building. I mean, why would he want them to grow, struggle, and get strong when he can just hand them a custom-made bubble of comfort? By giving them exactly what they want with zero sacrifice, he guarantees they stay weak, docile, and completely dependent on him.
Let's look at his step-by-step strategy for turning vibrant individuals into a paralyzed herd. Step 1. Numb their willpower with artificial comfort. Step 2. Induce paralysis by making them feel perfectly safe in their digital cages. And Step 3, the real kicker, siphon away their real potential. Sir Pent notes that while they just sit there, paralyzed in fake safety, his system drains their true gold. They're voluntarily acting as batteries, trading their actual life force for a consequence-free illusion.
The text argues that stepping into this post-logic era leaves the characters completely devoid of the willpower needed to save themselves. They've surrendered their logic to experts. They truly believe isolation is freedom. And they just keep accumulating spiritual debt while waiting for some imaginary magic savior or a software patch to fix their souls. But no one is coming to code a patch for their souls. As Sir Pent chillingly concludes, they just collapse into a swarm, an ant heap with no faces and no names, just data.
So to wrap up this explainer, I want to pose a question. If our digital habits increasingly mirror this ego simulator, what is the true hidden cost of curating a consequence-free escape from reality? It's a profound thing to think about. Yes, the text uses extreme examples like VR rigs and botanical elixirs, but the core message, it's incredibly relevant right now. When we curate our feeds to only show us what we want, when we choose the comfort of digital validation over the messy reality of personal growth, are we walking into our own ego simulators? Thank you so much for walking through this structural breakdown with me. Take some time to think about your own ledger, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.